We chew the fat and give you our gut reactions on all things pop culture, film, TV, and theatre. We talk to legends in the creative industry and those on the rise. We game old school. We do all this and a whole lot more. Like, subscribe, get involved. Join Lance Steen, Anthony Nielsen, and the Outcasts Creative.
Hello. Well, it's been a pretty interesting week this week. If you've been keeping up with the news, and I mean, this is really a case of where the creative arts can and does influence, educate, and inform people's minds. And what the 4-part ITV drama series, which I think is the best decision they've ever made to commission that show. Mr. Bates versus the Post Office has finally, at a national level, brought what is the biggest miscarriage of justice in British history to light and wakened the public consciousness. And I'm so glad that this has happened, because obviously we were like a mouse fighting against the gorilla when we did our play on the same subject. First of all, twice in 2022. And again in 2023 with myself and Dickon Tolson co-directing the show on both occasions. And I wrote the play. I won't explain this, but I've been following the scandal since about 2009. If you want to know the reasons why I followed it for so long, just watch my other streams about it, because I go into more detail there. But anyway, I was going back and forth on doing a play about the scandal for quite some time. And in the end, I decided in 2021 I was going to go for it, even though I couldn't find any funding or any money. And we put the play on regardless of this, with actors doing the show for profit share, which usually means zero or very little money. And thanks to the commitment of everybody involved, we put the production on 4 times, twice in 2022, Birmingham and London, and then twice at 2 different venues in London in 2023. Our production included most of the information that was covered in the 4-part TV drama show, and quite a bit more that it didn't cover, actually. But that's because some of the things have come out outside of the timeline of their TV show that we were able to include, that within the timeline of the show they weren't really able to include. And I'm sure there's other reasons as well. I'm going to give my thoughts a bit on the television show in a minute. I have already done a gut reaction review, which I did on New Year's Day as soon as I finished watching it. I'm going to be joined by a couple of guests tonight, possibly a couple of the Outcasts as well. And we're going to stream for roughly about 90 minutes. But if you're interested, if you're somebody who's been impacted by this travesty, whether I've talked to you before or not, put a comment in the chat. And if you want to come on and just tell us your thoughts on one of the main people being stripped of her CBE today, Paula Vennells, who was the chief executive of the Post Office during a crucial period where they could have and should have brought things to a halt. I'm now joined by co-founder of the Outcasts Creative, Dickon Tolson, arriving just in the nick of time from his new lodgings. Good to see you, mate.
How you doing?
I am recovering from my pneumonia, but still a little bit ropey. So I may or may not see you on Friday at the acting class, but we'll see how my voice survives. A couple of comments from Lord Toxic. This is a horrible travesty of justice. I'm glad you're bringing attention to it. Well, we did indeed, but it's the television drama that's taken it to a national level. David Macy, one of our regulars, is popping in and out. Good to see you, David. Thanks for being here. Dickon, we already have former sub-postmaster Mark Kelly waiting in the green room, whose life was largely destroyed by actions taken by the Post Office. I don't particularly want him to feel the need to regurgitate his story. He has been on our channel before. We have interviewed Mark before, but I mean, he can talk about whatever he wants. But I'm particularly keen to hear his thoughts on Paula Vennells being giving back her CBE. It only took 1 million signatures. Dickon, what are your thoughts on that before I bring in our guest?
Too little, too late.
Yeah, I mean, that should have happened ages ago, and that's my thoughts exactly. And it shouldn't have taken a TV show for that to happen in the first place. And not only that, if she was indeed a pious woman of strong religious conviction, she would have given it back herself.
Well, she wouldn't have accepted it.
Yeah, she wouldn't have accepted it. Yeah, more to the point, she would not have accepted it. If you have been following the story, and we've got 14 people watching right now, I'd love to hear your comments. Put them in the chat. If you're one of the people affected by the scandal and you want to come on the show and just voice your thoughts, please let us know, and I'll find a way to send you the link. Anyway, we're now going to bring in Mark Kelly, a former sub-postmaster who was directly impacted by the scandal. More importantly, he's got Gizmo with him, who's always good screen value. There he is. Mark, it's great to see you again, and none of us can forget how moved we all were when you gave your impact statement in person to the public inquiry, and not everyone was strong enough to do that. And actually, your impact statement, the link to it, was one of the first things I sent out to the actors to have a look at back in 2022. So what are your thoughts today on Paula Vennells giving back her CBE?
I think he was forced to give it back just because of over the million number of votes, signatures for it to be handed back. Well, not to be handed back, for it to be stripped. And I think she felt it's better to give it back and then have it stripped, because like a week ago, the Prime Minister saying, "Oh, I can't get involved in the handling of the CBE," and then yesterday in Parliament he was saying, "Oh, I recommend for her to lose it, just because of the public opinion." You can say,
yeah.
I don't think she should have had it in the first place.
Agreed.
She was no service to the post office. She tried to outspend the GOO group. In fact, not tried, she did outspend us as a group. And she was trying to hide things in the in the court case.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there is Colin Baker for the Federation. He got an OBE or CBE as well, which I think he should lose. He got it for the service of the post office.
This is one of the people running the National Federation of Sub-Postmasters. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Not to be confused with Colin Baker, who played Doctor Who. Just to be clear.
I don't know that.
Yeah. But I think it's unlikely he'd hold both those positions.
Yeah. He did the mantra of protect the brand. And he threw a lot of members under the bus in the process of protecting the brand.
Right. We just had a comment from Maria Lockwood, who I think you know, who's also a former sub-postmaster. Good luck all. I assume that means, because I know, Mark, you're going to the public inquiry this week. I believe there's a couple of former investigators giving evidence again. Look forward to them telling us of all the things they can't remember, can't recall, or haven't seen before.
Dementia.
You know,
Can you recall telling people that they were the only person making this complaint?
Yeah.
Can you recall being incentivized to criminalize perfectly just and civilian citizens?
Yeah. It's
on
incredible.
Friday there's the disclosure hearing, and one of the things they're going to be talking about is maybe postponing the inquiry for 2 to 4 months.
Yeah, so this is literally news to me today that you're telling me this. So there's going to be a special hearing. Is this going to be broadcast live?
Yeah, on Friday.
Right, on Friday at the inquiry, where Sawin is going to address the issue of non-disclosure of, I assume, crucial documents from the post office and their associated entities, lawyers, etc.
Yeah, because the post office have said to him now, for them to catch up with the current phase, they need about 2 to 3 months to catch up.
Right.
So they're thinking of postponing it, and they're asking now for you, should we agree to that or not?
I think that's utter nonsense.
Yeah.
Utter nonsense. I mean, the inquiry's been going on for over a year now, right?
Yeah.
Nearly 2, in fact. So if we go back to when you gave your impact statement, so it's not like they have known it wasn't coming. Are they telling us they need 3 months to try and bury and hide all the nasty secret documents, delete them and shred them? Is that what the extra time is for?
Probably, but I myself say, unless they're going to be taken out of the post office hand, like go to the High Court and another organisation goes into the post office and take all the documents and they go through it all, I don't see any point in delaying it anymore, because after 3 months they can delay it again. I felt the fourth phase near the end, the post office was taking the mickey with all the disclosures. Had all these people being delayed. Like the one on Thursday was supposed to give his statement on October. But
will you? Will you? I don't know whether you personally or whether presumably through your lawyers, you guys will get to express your thoughts on this. Is that the feeling of? Is that a similar feeling from other sub-postmasters? Is that what they're also thinking?
Quite a lot of the ones I've talked about have said no more delay, just carry on. I think I and a couple other people are more, okay, if there's going to be something out of this delay, let's do the delay. But when we say something out of it, we don't mean just wait 3 months for the post office to get the document. We want it goes to the High Court and say like the police goes in there and get all the documents, like completely out of the post office hand. But if it's going to be just 3 months and it's still be in the post office hand, no, just carry on and call the people back as and when it's required.
Don't know. Yeah, it sounds like
We think it's a delaying tactic.
Yeah.
Oh, delay. It's one of their mottos, isn't it? Along with the right is a robust system.
Yeah, I mean, delay was a line from their lawyer character in the play. In fact, I got to say that line myself. I was playing that part in the second run. Delay. That's the name of the game, or something like that. I forget. Damn, I'm gonna have to relearn my lines again. I mean, what's been for you? Obviously, we'll talk about the TV drama in a minute, but I've been watching the real drama, the post office public inquiry. I've got it on whenever it's on. It's on in my house. If I'm working, it's on in the background, and quite often I find it's quite a distraction. I'll end up stop working and I'll listen, especially with. I mean, there's a couple of people I could mention, but I'll start using foul language. But some of their evidence just beggars belief.
I can't remember the name. There was that person who instigate postmasters, and she said she couldn't remember the postmaster, but she was in court, gave.
I remember the one,
and lost the case. Surely you remember that particular case. I think it was the only case she did.
Yeah. She doesn't remember the case that she lost. Wasn't that when she went, oh, no, I can't remember this at all. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the one you mean. She looked like a proper, like, you know, kind of mutton dressed up as lamb sort of thing. Is my polite way of describing her. I mean, what's your sense of how the inquiry's going? I mean, Sir Wynne seems to have quite strong moral fibre from what I can see.
On the inquiry side, I'd say the inquiry is getting really, really fed up now with the disclosure issue with the post office.
Mm.
On the last one, I think in November or December time, it was one of those times, I can't remember the exact period now. You could see the Mr. Bear when he was giving he was saying about a disclosure issue and things. He was getting really fed up with it. And he's getting fed up with the witnesses saying they can't remember or.
Yeah, somebody did a compilation video on Twitter. I don't know whether it was you that reposted it. I saw it. I've been trying to find it actually, and it's great. It's a video of all the different post office witnesses, their security teams, Fujitsu, of all the different bits that they can't remember. And that video is about 35 minutes long. And that's an edit of, you know, all the witnesses that have appeared thus far, the different times that they can't remember evidence. And you'd expect it to be a bit shorter, but you know, 35 minutes is quite long.
I think that cut down.
And then John Scott, when he kind of covered his background, as Jono's pointed out here, didn't even mention he was an ex-copper, which you would think he would, being that, you know, that's usually a position that's held in quite high regard. Jaunal Singh, who was, I mean, must have been, I don't know whether he was deliberately trying to come across as incompetent so he can play the dementia card later, because he kept going, it's all very long time ago and I'm very old now. That was a line that came straight out of Richie Sunak's mouth. It was all very long ago in the 1990s. Like, how out of touch is the guy running our country? I mean, this beggars belief.
But to be honest with the Prime Minister, he might have got two briefings mixed up, because
I think so.
What came out of the inquiry the day before was turns out about 2 or 3 postmasters in 1995 got prosecuted on the trial.
Right. Yeah, I think he just has been very poorly briefed, because at the end of the day, the full Horizon rollout wasn't until 1999.
Yeah.
And then some branches didn't get it installed until the year 2000. And the Horizon evidence-based full-on prosecutions began properly in 2000, not including the trial rollout. So
Richard, a very recent memory problem as well, though, when he was in the inquiry for Partygate. He also couldn't recall quite a lot. And if you see Have I Got News for You, they do maybe not a 35-minute number on him, but they do a 3-minute number on him.
Is that the latest episode?
Yeah, and he I think it might be the latest episode or the one before.
Or was it the end of year kind of?
Yeah,
they did an end of year compilation.
One before the compilation, and it was basically, I can't recall, I don't remember, I haven't got the notes with me. It's like, and recall and I don't recall. Okay, were the most said things he said in that inquiry for sure.
Jammer Lama is asking what a CBE is. I could tell you what I think it stands for. Something of the British Empire, and the word is used in our play, and it's not complimentary. Just want to go. Nicola Arch is in the house. Oi, oi, Archie. Good to see you. If you want to come on, let me know. I think I sent you the link already on Twitter to join us. But if not, just message me and I'll send it now. Della Ryan, I think, is also connected to the events. Do you know Della?
She's a postmistress, he is.
Postmistress with fantastic hair, if I may say so. We should move on from her. I assume Della's talking about Paula Vennells, and move to the survivors getting compensation. Thank you for your support. Oh, that's very kind. She should never have been given it anyway. and they won't say who gave it to her. I agree. Yeah, and that should come out as well. I mean, look, I do agree. Focus on every conviction that's come about since Horizon got installed, where Horizon evidence was involved, should absolutely 100% be overturned immediately. I don't understand why it takes all these delays and faffing about. They should, if Horizon evidence was involved, it's an unsafe system. You cannot, those convictions cannot stand. Very, very, very simple. It's not rocket science. So I don't understand why that is taking so long, frankly.
But the thing is, if they give, there's a law that says they're allowed to give a pardon, but pardons don't overrule the prosecution. It pardons you for the prosecution. So they can't give a pardon to en masse to everyone, because that's not actually adequate.
They've got to quash the convictions. They've got to quash them.
So they can't and they can't handle it one by one. So they've got to do what they're talking about is taking one case to court, to the Supreme Court, of all the postmaster convictions. But they might have to pass a law in order to be able to try more than one case at the same time, so that they can try all the cases at the same time and quash them all.
Right. We've got Hugh Davis in the house from the Communication Workers Union, for just so I can give people a simple explanation of what that means, because Hugh will give us a 20-minute one if I give him the chance. It's basically the union that represents postmen and people that do deliveries for the post office and that sort of thing, not the people that run the branches. So it's a separate union, but Hugh has been heavily involved in the campaign for justice. Kenny O'Connor, who played one of the auditors in the play in 2022, good friend of mine. Happy birthday, Kenny. It was your birthday on Saturday. One line bill in Parliament will exonerate all of them, Dick, and it can be done, mate. Okay. Kenny, when are you standing for election again? Let us know. Get you in there. But so Hugh, can you hear us, Hugh? Just to check.
In Parliament first before they can do it.
Right.
In the court, but and they're talking about doing it this week.
Right. Hugh, can you hear us? I'm just checking you can hear us.
I can, yeah. I sorry I was a bit late. Someone rang wanting advice, so I should have stayed on when I first stayed on, and then the phone wouldn't have rung.
That's okay. It looks suspiciously like you're still in the pub.
I'm outside it.
Well, I mean, if it's quiet, stay inside. It's freezing outside, mate.
No, it's fine. But just to correct you, Lance, we do represent. I represented counter staff in Crown offices. So
okay, and counter staff.
So we represent postmen, postwomen. We also engineers on the BT side, and although we're a minority grade, we represent counter clerks. And after 2010, when Baker came and joined us and Nippy Singh, and then he disappeared, we have got a national Subpostmasters branch, of which there are a few hundred in it.
You're talking about Mark Baker.
Mark Baker, yeah, sorry, apologies.
Yeah. Who I've had fairly regular communications with, and who gave me a lot of inside tidbits of information which did end up in the play. So thank you for that, Mark. It certainly has not been forgotten. I do appreciate your help greatly. So, I mean, Hugh, I imagine your reaction to Paula Vennells so graciously handing back her CBE, and I use that word sarcastically, is much the same as many others. So tell us your thoughts.
Well, I think it's the first step. I must say the thing about the petition is that less than 2 weeks ago it was about 5,500. So Dave Smith, and he's not the post office Dave Smith, or either the post office Dave Smith. It's just the Bates versus the post office. It's just taken off. and we need about another 20,000, and it'd be 1.25 million. But I think that's only the first stage. I must say, Vennells really had to hand it back today because it's plastered across all the newspapers, including the Morning Star, everywhere. And, you know, it reached the day before yesterday, just after 21 minutes past midnight, it reached the 1 million. So at stages, it was 10,000 an hour, roughly, it was going up by. But that's only the first stage, because what we must do, and we mustn't just go after the Vennells, because lots of these bonuses, including Cook, who was before her, right, when the number of prosecutions were quite high. You know, so before Vennells, Cook was the managing director of, it would have been POCL at the time. And Crozier then would have been over him. But no, this is the beginning. I'm glad people like Kevin Jones and all that didn't have to pursue the whatever it's called, the committee. But that's the first step. And I think to some extent she knows the game's up. But from talking to lots of people inside the union and Subpostmasters, people like Mark, evening Mark, the people want not retribution, that's the wrong word. People want to see accountability. And she's got to go to jail, Lance, hasn't she?
I completely agree. There's got to be equality and justice. At the end of the day, postmasters went to prison on really flimsy evidence. Not even a fraction of what there is against people like Vennells and against people like Angela van der Bogard. And she needs to go to prison as well, not just Vennells. And that list is long. Sorry, Dick, and jump in, and I'm going to add Nicola Arch, who's just arrived as well.
Hello.
Hi.
Good to see you, Nicola.
Hello, Hugh. Hi, Mark.
Nicola Arch is also a former Subpostmaster. One of our characters in the play was partly based on her, although the actress's hair was not quite as well groomed.
I haven't even brushed my hair. I just looked at the time I've been harassed.
We did our best to replicate it.
I must get Lance before he goes flying, so I thought I must join in whilst I'm still here.
Makes it sound like I'm flying off somewhere. I wish I was.
No, you get tangled up with all these press things, don't you? And then
I see. Well,
go mad.
I mean, we haven't had any of the press talk to us about the fact that we put the play on 2 years ago. I haven't had one person contact us.
Well, I mentioned you today. You'll be pleased.
Yeah, listen, you guys have been mentioning us left, right, and centre. My main, to be honest, I'm just glad that there is the public momentum now. There is it's alive in the public consciousness. Just because I knew when it got out at this level, with this level of exposure, people would finally sit up and get angry, because I could see it on my timeline on Facebook. Person after person posting, my blood is boiling, at watching this drama. And the fact that everything in it is true. And then there's even more stuff that beggars belief that they didn't have time to include. My only criticism of it is it should have been 6 parts.
You said it was true. A lot of people I spoke to couldn't believe it was true.
Yeah.
I said to them that it is true. In fact, they underplay a lot of the stuff, like what happened to Lee's children and stuff.
I've had that as well. People saying, did that really happen? Is that really part of it? And I'm like, yeah. Well, was it really accurate? Yeah, it was. But why on earth it's took this long to actually get through, I don't know. But we'll take it, won't we? We've got
Nicola,
to.
Were you able to sit down and watch it straight away in one go? I mean, I was literally watching it as soon as I got up on New Year's Day.
Yeah, I have to say, I couldn't wait. And as soon as I heard it was on ITVX, I thought, right, I'm just going to blast this. And it wasn't pleasant, I have to say. Sure. There was parts, especially with Sammy, which is Jess, obviously. Which was, again, the lady that was acquitted. And I was like, I know exactly how she feels, because it don't make good news if you're acquitted. You have 2 years of being absolutely hounded, and then you're acquitted. I was acquitted in a completely different county. So nobody who had been nasty, who had been whispered, who'd spat, none of them knew I'd been acquitted. So nothing changed. You know,
Right.
nothing at all.
You said that
And
nothing
yet,
changed. Go on.
sorry, Mark.
Well, you carry on first. All right.
Well, no, and then you know, I'm thinking I'm free to go home, because obviously I was told I was going to prison, and I'd spent 3 days with the prison officer stood next to me giving evidence. So I was pretty convinced I was on my way to prison. And then you come out, and yet everyone's still looking at you as though you're a thief. And now,
were you found not guilty? Is that just for the benefit of people watching?
Yeah.
They try to prosecute you. You were found not guilty
by a jury,
but they still came after you for the money that was missing.
They come out everything, because they didn't charge me till 18 months after I'd lost my business. It had all been in the papers that I'd stolen off of pensioners. I'd lost my shop. I'd lost my health. 2 years on, I was shut indoors. I wouldn't go outside, and, you know, spat on outside the supermarket and whatnot. This spitting thing seems to be a very common thing that people likes to do. Yeah, so everything, all the damage had been done. Other than the actual prison sentence. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to take anything from anybody who's been to prison, but I would have been better off if I had, because then the government would listen. Because at the moment, I'm not even allowed an apology. They refuse blankly to send me an apology because I was acquitted.
So are you not entitled to compensation either, even though
they
you
tried
lost
it? They tried that, Lance, and they said they tried to say, no, you don't fit into any box, so you can just go away into the moonlight or whatever.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not, but you know.
No, I mean, you know what I'm like. Being a gobby lady that I am, there was no way I was going to settle for that.
Right.
So I spoke to Sir Wynn about a year before the inquiry even started.
Yeah.
And give him an interview and said, look, you know, this isn't humane what's going on. They cannot do this. But still, you know, my full claim's been in for 4 months now, and my cost, like malicious prosecution, because obviously I was maliciously prosecuted, that's been in since the 3rd of July last year, and I've heard nothing from DBT whatsoever, nothing at all. And you think, hang on, we've done the Paula Vennells thing. Yes, she's give her a little token back or whatever she was given.
Well, I mean, big wow, you know. So
what?
I
just want to know who bloody give it to her in the first place.
Quite.
Who on earth sat there whilst the group litigation was going on and thought, I know what, let's give her a medal for her service to the post office? I mean, who thought of that?
It was Muttley, Nicola.
Pardon?
And don't worry, the minister's on your case. You were mentioned in the Commons last night.
I think there's somebody thought it would make her more untouchable.
Well, Siobhan only lives up the road from me. She lives 2 minutes up the road, and it's the first time I've heard from her for 18 months since I did talk to GB News with her. I haven't seen her since. And then the drama last week, and up she pops again. Right. So I thought, yeah, whatever. Yeah, so I didn't send her away.
Go on, Mark.
What Nikki was saying, it relates to Jess as well, because she was acquitted, and she said on GMB that she got no compensation, not a penny at the moment. But not only that, the post office did not believe that she was mentally unwell and she's in the hospital. So the post office sent
their lot into her.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Just to make sure. And she had, I don't know if you all know what it is. She had electrotherapy, which
electroshock therapy.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But the DBT, the government's had all my medical records and an independent medical report as well.
Yeah.
And yet I still haven't heard anything.
This is what the government keeps on telling people that the compensate. They say like 68% have all been for and settled.
Bullshit.
But
That's bullshit.
That's
Yeah.
all.
That's the historical shortfall scheme.
Yeah,
That is not the government scheme. Nobody has had a fair and full settlement. None of the 555 have at all.
That's
I
what
think
was gonna say,
20
is that
they've looked at.
They've been very selective on the numbers. And
Well, what they've done, because they've completed a lot of the historical shortfall scheme claims, they've accumulated them numbers into the other two schemes and got a whole percentage of all three schemes from one complete one. And the historical shortfall scheme, some of them had 20 quid. Some of them claimed £80 shortage that they've put in. So they've dealt with a lot of those small claims quickly and effectively. But they've added all three schemes together, joined them up and said, oh, yeah, 63%'s been done. They haven't touched the government scheme. The proper compensation for the group litigation or people who've been to prison. They've had sod all.
And they also plan to open those historic shortfall schemes as well.
Exactly.
Because they, like you just said, they paid £20, £40 because the first batch of claims.
If I could just give my colleague Dickon a chance to speak for a sec. No, it's just sorry because he was going to jump in with a comment earlier, and I but everybody else wanted to speak, so I thought I know he's very polite and would be happy to wait. But Dickon, you did want to say something earlier. I didn't want us to get too far ahead.
No. It was just about what we were talking about at the time, and how do it and for a ride again, and just this delaying tactics. And I think it was on the Paula Vennells issue. But I'm finding this really fascinating hearing you talk, Nicola. It's outrageous. I mean, if you've been into hospital, you've had they can't deny this. There's records of this, and then they still want to send people in to double check. It's outrageous. And then what? You've got to prove that you were really depressed.
Yeah, to the people who actually inflicted it on us in the first place.
Yeah,
we've then got to go beg into them open hand to say, give us some money, please, to the people who actually inflicted it on us. I'm not getting it. I just don't get their logic. I'm not following it at all.
It's like saying, well, you need to get yourself a boyfriend, love. Why don't you go to your rapist? And
exactly, or going to a murderer. Well, what do you fancy doing? I'll tell you what, I don't want to do life. I'll do a couple of years if that's all right with you. They're deciding their own punishment.
Yeah,
it's absolutely talking about a cover up and what power can do for you. It's the only people I know who are exempt from any law or justice. Because no matter what they do, they've killed people, they've actually destroyed people's lives, and yet they have no punishment for it whatsoever. You tell me any other civilian in this country who could do the same as what post office has done, well, and the government, because they're both as bad, and walk away and say, well, I don't fancy any punishment, so I'm not having any.
I did have a controversial question to ask everyone present, and there aren't many that aren't in this subject, but the TV drama, which admittedly for the most part was very good, ITV is the broadcaster that commissioned it. It's not the head of ITV at the moment, Adam Crozier, former executive director of the post office during one of the key times that we're concerned with. In fact, wasn't he the director before Paula Vennells?
Well, we wouldn't want him to go short, would we?
I mean, wasn't he there for about 10 years?
No, Lawrence, it was Lawrence. It was Moya Green who was the overall MD of the post office, which includes Royal Mail, and prior to that was Adam Crozier. But the guy who's got to be strung up as well is Alan Cook, who was the MD of it was Post Office Counters Limited. But I'm going to say, Nicola, do you know out of because I think you've hit the nail on the head. The campaign's got to start concentrating on the 555 who haven't
Well, the
seen nothing
victims.
apart from the interim payments. But
Yeah, I mean, we need
Hollingwake.
Compensation and convictions overturned and compensation given out.
I think we need to forget about the already
Holling,
wealthy and turn it on its head and actually deal with the victims.
Yeah, but Hollingwake last night was saying that some people had implied some people had accepted the 600,000. Do we know? I don't know. Do we know, or who's got those figures? Would Chris Head or someone like that be able to get the figures?
Don't know, but
how many? Because some of those 39 that originally, had their things quashed, that might be enough for them. For lots of others, I don't think you could double that or treble it. But there might be some people who, might have thought, 600,000 might have compensated them for the loss, and they just wanted to walk away. They could probably, if they'd have had a row, they could have got some more. But
I think that's a con. I think that 600 thing's a con.
I think it is. But
what gives them the right to give out 600 grand of the taxpayers' money and not be accountable? Why are they in a position that they can decide whether somebody gets £600,000 of the taxpayers' money and not produce any evidence at all?
I mean, I agree with Jono in chat who says Paul needs to play no part in calculating the compensation. But look, Hugh, you derailed my topic there for a minute, so I'm just going to switch gears. I want an answer to this question from everyone attending. Adam Crozier was chief executive of Royal Mail Group 2003 until I think it was he left in 2010, at which point he became chief executive of ITV PLC, a position I believe he still holds along with various other positions. Or is he not at ITV anymore?
He left in 2017.
Oh, he left in 2017. Thank you for clarifying that for me, because I know he joined the board of Whitbread in 2017, but I wasn't sure if he was still on ITV as well. So it's interesting then. I'm sure he wouldn't have commissioned. See, I tried to get ITV to do the drama before then. Now I know why they didn't. But anyway, so this guy was in charge from 2003 until 2010. The post office at large, the people at the top, knew there were bugs in Horizon. We know this for sure. There's proof that they knew from 2002. So that means there's a period of 8 years under his watch where they knew.
Sorry, Lance, but Tony Blair knew in 1999 when they said.
I know he knew, but I'm dealing with one criminal at a time here. Let's not jump. I know he knew. I know he knew. He's another one. Well, he's got a whole war to answer for. So we'll let him.
We'll do that on a different night.
That's a different stream. But I'm just talking about it because I feel like some people are just going to get away by virtue of almost not being mentioned. I absolutely agree. Paula Vennells needs to do prison time. And her house actually should be sold off to compensate people. It won't be, but put her up in a public tenement, 1-bedroom flat, and see how she gets on with that for a couple of years, like she did to many of the people that were in her employ. But I think everybody who held the same position and knew, and they did know, has the same crime to answer for, not just Vennells. Adam Crozier's another one, and there are others. So, and then you've got to start at the top, and then you've got to work your way down. John Scott's another one, and he's an ex-copper. Should have known better. Shredding documents, probably on his way to Spain as we speak, as we've been joking about in the Outcasts WhatsApp group. And I bet a lot of these people are relocating to selling up their houses and relocating to warmer countries right now. Honestly, Kenny, you're watching. If you want to come on, mate, let me know and I'll send you the link. It's one of our actors. So, I mean, I think I've got a sense of where you stand on that. obviously compensation and appropriate remuneration for everyone affected by the scandal, regardless of whether they were convicted or not, etc. All of that should be top priority because people are getting older. They need the money now. Give them the life that they deserve, that they were working for, straight away. Then after that, we need to look at criminal prosecutions, which is already going on. Yes, Mark.
There's two things. Firstly, I think Nikki was sort of covering it earlier on. They can't say the convicted people get, say, £600,000, and the people who not been convicted, but the life has been completely destroyed as well, only get, say, £10,000. Because there've been a lot of people who have lost their house, lost their reputation in society, not work, lost their health.
And family and kids as well, Mark.
Yeah.
And then the second part, which you just said there, is at the moment, none of the immediate families are included. And I think a lot of cases, the immediate family have been affected the worst because they're little kids who have to go to school and then they get assaulted and a bully. And like there's been a couple of postmasters come forward and it's been so bad.
Parents hide.
They had to leave the country.
Yeah, and parents hide, you know, when there's group things like plays and things at school, for fear of your child. Oh God, look who his mother is. You stay away from it. You know, Callum goes to college eventually as a 16-year-old. Oh, your mum's the post office woman. I'm like, oh no. You know, and
I think the parents who have been prosecuted, I know Joe was saying she couldn't go to the school for her granddaughter.
If you've got a criminal conviction, you've got to have a police check to go in and be, you know, playing with other people's children. That's the problem. If you've got a criminal record, you're not allowed to do that. That's why I got suspended in my new job when I was working for social services. They found out I had the court case pending and said, you mustn't go into people's houses anymore. I think we'll put you on office duties. So I was the gopher making coffee and shredding crap for people until my court case, because I couldn't be trusted in people's homes.
Hopefully you weren't being set up for another Climbier inquiry by unintentionally shredding documents on behalf of
exactly. It seems to be a very
managers covering their tracks. Because I did the play about that case as well, so I can tell you all about it.
Chicken.
Oh, you're right, Hugh. Don't die on us, mate. You're out in the cold. Go and sit in the pub.
No, there's too much noise. I'm fine. There's too much noise in there. But
just go into the cubicle of the gents and sit in there.
No, personally, I think that there's lots of ways of going about this, but I think the 555 are those people who had the balls to come forward and sign up and put their necks on the line. And lots of those are adversely affected. And I think what we need to do, or the solicitors need to start doing this, because Hudgell's in particular, at one of the compensation hearings, actually brought up that a lot of these were unrepresented by solicitors, and some of the claims that have gone through, as Nicola said, some people have only claimed a few shillings, so to speak. Some of those they might have accepted it all, but some of that really needs to be looked at. I'm going to say the plus side of this. I'm going to say Kevin Jones was an hour-and-a-half debate in the Commons yesterday. He had 3 people come forward, new people. So I think the play Bates and Co has probably brought loads through, and I hope on Thursday, Sir Wynn or Beer or one of them will actually make some sort of comment of the sort of activity that's taken place, because I think there's going to be lots more people coming out of the woodwork. And I've had 3 people ring me, not recently, in about last month or so. How do we go about it? So I'll put them on. Here's your 3 choices of solicitors, and this is the one I would use if I.
And how many years are they prepared to wait, Hugh? Because this isn't. I hope these people who are coming forward now realise that nothing's going to be done anytime soon.
Well, one of them is his grandmother had died. So it's not. Well, 2 of them are for descendants. One was an actual sub-postmaster affected. The other 2 were for. One was for a grandmother and one was for an aunt or something. So who had died.
The rate it's going, Hugh, there'll be a lot more doing that.
No, I agree. So I'd like to know.
Very well. With us veering off, we're worrying about what bloody Vennells is up to in her golden medal, but there's real life victims of this that aren't going to be with us.
No, you're 100%. And I'm going to say what I'd like to know is, it's either 63 or 64 sub-postmasters have died. You add on partners to that. Yeah. And it's probably over 100.
My dad died 2 years after. He went into kidney failure when it happened, but they don't get a look in. But anyway, what my concern is more so than anything else in this is how many more people are going to die before they actually do it. It's all very well putting all these people. Let's add another 100 to it. They can't deal with the victims they've created already, let alone add any more on it. And I would be embarrassed I would be really worried to say to somebody, oh yeah, come and join our gang, because it's crap. It's horrible. Every day waking up thinking, wonder if today's going to be the day I might hear something. For years and years you sit waiting to see if your life's going to change, and it never does. And I wouldn't inflict that on anybody. And me and Mark's had private chats about this a lot, and sometimes we wake up so low, it is beyond low, and you think, I really cannot do another day of praying that this is my last post office day, and that last day never ever comes, because the government are all talk and no action, and the only people who are paying the price for that is the victims who's bloody paid the price already. And they're dealing with all this, and they're dealing with this judicial system, they're dealing with this legislation, they're dealing with this law. Well, let's actually deal with people suffering right now that you created, and then we'll worry about that later.
It's amazing how fast the government can react in terms of giving out contracts to PPE to their mates in a crisis, but they can't.
Hours was it?
Do you know what I mean? But they can't. I want to move on to the subject of criminal prosecutions, right? And I just want to read out something from the Wikipedia page for the post office scandal, which last time I looked at it was only about that big, by the way, and it's now like, it's vast, it's huge. And it's this. So this is a summary of the under the section criminal investigation into Post Office Limited in January 2020. So this is at the dawn of the pandemic. At the request of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Metropolitan Police initiated a criminal investigation into potential offences of perjury and perverting the course of justice during investigations and prosecutions carried out by the Post Office. 2 former Fujitsu expert witnesses were interviewed under caution. I'm sure one of them was Gareth Jenkins. And then, now we go to 2024. So this is this week, in fact. The Metropolitan Police confirmed in January 2024, and they were investigating possible additional offences of fraud in relation to monies recovered from sub-postmasters as a result of prosecutions or civil actions. Yeah, as we say in the play, where has that all of that money gone? As of January 2024, there have been no arrests. Metropolitan Police, it's been 3 years. There's a lot of evidence out there already. I mean, there's a lot of evidence out there. Any lawyer in any other case would be really happy about the amount of evidence, the mounting volumes of evidence that there is that you could prosecute someone with over this. I mean, I appreciate they're probably playing the long game, But listen, the Met, if you do not charge people at the end of this story, if you do not charge people in the public eye, remember this now, you will have lost all credibility. And that was the same thing for the government and this honours thing with the CBE. And that's public pressure that did that. And I bet if we did I bet if there was another petition for 1 million signatures for criminal prosecutions against people, I bet 1 million signatures would come. Just saying. So, but let me go. Let me hear from each of you on this subject regarding criminal prosecutions. Mark, you first. Do you think it will happen? And if so, I mean, give me 3 names that you definitely want to see in the dock. I know there's lots to choose from, mate, but three will suffice for now.
Truthfully, if you asked me about a week ago, would I see anyone be prosecuted? I would say no. I would have said,
right,
on my heart, said no. It would have been brushed over the carpet. But now, because of how much people have reacted to the drama that's come out, I do think they will have to have a few prosecutions from this, and there might be what the word pronounce the word something lambs,
sacrificial lambs,
yeah. But like I can see, Paula Vennells might end up getting prosecuted. I think Gareth Jenkins might get away with it. He might. I got a feeling there's going to be a good defense for him. I won't say.
Yeah, I think I know where you're going with that, and I can see that happening.
Yeah, but I'm not going to say why because it's an ongoing investigation.
Yeah,
but I can see 2 of the instigators will also be prosecuted, and I can see my contract manager be prosecuted as well. Because what she knew from my case, and then going forward, onwards, she carried on, and she went to see like that widow and got her to sign that non-disclosure document and things. But she knew a lot of it. Like she lied under oath with the High Court case and things.
Right. Well, lying under oath is not allowed. Just going to remind the Metropolitan Police of this. So I think it's called perverting the course of justice. Yes. Yeah. So, prosecute these people for that at the very least. At the very least. Nicola, your thoughts, and if you give us 3 names to be nailed to the cross.
I'm
minimum. You can throw in more if you want.
No. These prosecution things. To be honest, I think that the crime is so massive, involving so many people, a lot of politicians' wives, Mr. Keegan, the husband, Jack Straw's wife, because obviously Paula Vennells wasn't in my era. That if I want, of all the people to get prosecuted, to go through our crap court system and our judicial system, I'll be well and truly dead and buried by the time they lock all those people up culpable. So I think the first thing we need to do is have a triple page spread of naming and shaming right across the newspapers.
Yeah.
As soon as this inquiry is over, let's name and shame them and get them right out there so their lives are a total bloody misery, because I don't see why the taxpayer should have to pay their keep. I even begrudge them that. And to think that we are feeding them in prison. No, I really don't even let them feed themselves. But I think we should just name and shame them, and so they can be flogged in the street like we had to be.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
All of them.
Yeah, Very, very good.
Because we can do that next year. We can, us victims can look at those pictures and think, yes, you swine, you go into Tesco's now and get your shopping, or Waitrose or M&S or wherever you want to get your fancy shopping from. You go in there now and have a taster of how we felt when people spat in our faces and stuff and shout at your kids. Have a taster of that. Don't hide away in prison, then hang yourself like most cowards do. Let's not go down that road. Let's get them all out in the public.
I have a feeling that Miss Vennells will probably be ordering most of her shopping online.
Yeah, and I bet she'll do Zoom for her evidence as well. She'll be able to hide. But, you know, if she isn't allowed to go, if she can't step outside, then I'm happy with that. You know, either or.
Hugh, before I insist on you going back inside into the warm, because I don't want you to, I don't want you to pass away on my live stream, or indeed, I don't want you to pass away. Full stop.
Exactly.
So
only Lancing could say that.
We keep it. We keep it. We got to keep humour here. We have to keep some humour.
Yes. Well, the three that have got the minimum three is Alan Cook, because there were more prosecutions on his watch. And he was at the beginning, and from the evidence at the public inquiry, they were aware of the bugs. After that, I think it's Randa Bogart, because she lied. She lied to the High Court, and the Judge Fraser called her out. So, and she then tried to go to the Football Association of Wales and get a job down there.
Yeah, I know all about that.
So she's a fair play to Monsieur Charlet. I don't know where he finds out where all these people live, but next time I'm in the Swansea area, I might go and have a look where her house is.
She lives in Swansea, does she?
Yeah, it's around there somewhere.
Okay.
And then it's got to be Paula Vennells, but underneath them, some of these IB officers. They must be put before it because they failed to disclose. Yeah. Now, and then we've got Ismay, because we need to find out why he whitewashed it. And then we've got
his evidence on the stand during the public inquiry was unbelievable.
Yeah. So and then we've got Mrs. Cotton. She needs to, because I think if she was pressed, she might spill the beans, because she thought the husband had stolen the money, though she didn't accept that there were bugs, errors and defects. So her as well. But some of these IB officers need to be it. And of course, our friend Mr. Singh, who claimed he hadn't written the statements, and he hadn't, because some of them was, no disrespect, in sort of pidgin English, and the rest were written by someone else. So he's, I think we got to have the dirty dozen, basically, to start with. And then I think what Nicola's saying is, you got to have pictures of these people, like offenders on the double yellow lines, and keep pushing the faces. And on the political side, it's got to be Jack Straw's wife. Alice Perkins.
Alice Perkins, and she is.
Now, I probably take a different view to some of those people who are going after the politicians. Now, they should have been aware. They were aware, and look, that the system, when it came in under Tony Blair, there were faults in it. But Fujitsu were telling people that the faults, the pinnacles and all the rest of it had been sorted. So there's got to be someone within Fujitsu, and don't forget, it's not just Gareth Thomas, it's, dear me, what's the name?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
The other woman, Chambers, what's her name? Anne Chambers. Right.
Yeah.
Now that they, I believe, have been investigated by the police, because she was forced to write a witness statement which wasn't true, because they were investigating pinnacles and bugs, errors and defects. which they knew about. So it's not just one or two they need to prosecute. The problem is, from a layperson's point of view, is they're all going to blame one another, aren't they?
Well, of course, yeah.
But some of these people are culpable. Some of these people are culpable. There's enough evidence. And all I can hope, I'll end on this, all I can hope is Sir Wynne will actually name either groups or individuals who he doesn't believe has told the whole truth and nothing but the truth to the inquiry.
Yeah.
And his conclusions might well highlight some of this. But I think at the moment, I think Nicola's absolutely right. We've got to concentrate on those 555 who haven't had the money. They might have had the 125,000 or whatever it is, or some of them might have had the 125,000.
No.
But we've got to concentrate. We've got to concentrate on those because the deadline is August. So we've got, because they'll want this bloody post office lot will want to extend everything all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
so
look, Hugh, let's wrap that up there, mate, and you get back inside in the wall. And just to clarify, I don't think anybody's had 125k yet.
No, definitely not.
We've got Tony Downey who's joined us. Tony, I'm not sure if we've met before, and we may well have done. You might have to remind me, but because my memory is a bit rubbish. Well, he's here, but he's there he is.
Go on, he's here. Hi, you all right? Yeah, I just followed this link through our little group, and I've ended up with you guys.
That's absolutely fine. You're very, very welcome.
Sorry about that.
I assume that you're someone who was directly affected by the scandal.
Yeah. My story's. I was out of the UK 15 years. They took 38,500 from me. Forced me to sell the place. Bankrupted, lost the house. The usual story, really.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm one of them, and I'm in the group with Mark. Is Mark still there? Yeah, you there?
Mark is still here.
Yeah, so we talked about it in the group, but yeah, here we are face to face.
So when you say you're in the group, you mean you're part of the 555? Is that right?
No, we have a sort of a WhatsApp group where a few of us.
Where we all known.
Yeah, we meet at the inquiry. I mean, I've not met everybody, but I've met most of you guys, and we just sort of chat and moan about things and see what we're all up to. And
Tony, did you get along to see our play when it was on?
No, you know what? I really, really wanted to. Oh, were you the guy that did the play then?
I am the guy that wrote and co-directed it, and along with Dickon here, who also co-directed, and is currently eating his dinner, and presenting a cooking show on another channel simultaneously.
Salt and pepper seasoning. We've witnessed it.
Right. I didn't get to see it. I heard about it, and another group was thinking of going to do the big end of season one. Are you still doing it then? I'm
just going to mute Hugh because he's being super noisy. We're talking about. Look, we did it basically with zero budget last time. And didn't really have proper money to spend. Everybody brought their own costumes in from home and things of that nature. This is actually the cover for the play. Which
I remember that. Yeah, I actually looked at the dates. I was really, really well. We were both quite desperate to get over, but just ended up we couldn't.
Well, there's a lot. There's just like there's momentum with the case. I've lost count of the numbers of people who've messaged me saying you're putting the play on again.
I thought about that the other week, and I thought, God, I bet you wish you'd waited 6 months.
No, to be honest,
I wanted brilliant.
As far as I didn't even know when we started working on it that the TV drama. I think they started talking about it in 2020. I started. I mentioned when I first mentioned doing a play about the post office scandal to Dickon. That was in 2019. Just when we were talking about different topics that we might do a play about, because I'd already written a play about it, which was nothing like the play that we ended up doing. It was about two women in prison, one of whom was a former Subpostmaster who was based on Seema Misra. and whose
much
case
so.
I'd followed very closely, and I didn't believe that she was guilty for one moment. And you know, that turned out to be the case. We're talking about it. We'd love to put it on in Wales and Scotland. You know, we'd like to try and put it on in parts of the UK where it hasn't been yet. We do have is that your dog being noisy again?
Yeah.
We do
I'm only here to
have
see Mark's dog.
we do have a friend Billy up
up.
in Scotland who's very keen to get it on there in quite a big venue actually. So we'll see.
Oh,
I mean,
that'd be
I'm willing
brilliant,
to
yeah.
talk to I'm willing to talk to anyone, but we've got to get some funding from somewhere. So we're looking at sponsors,
The thing is, when we
that kind of thing.
we
Go
put
ahead,
on
Dickon.
four runs, and to each of the runs we had postmasters come, and the electricity in the audience was amazing. The energy produced, and you know, just we did it to try and raise the profile. Theatre is there not just to entertain, but also to educate and hopefully inform. And I think in some way we did help express what some people felt that wasn't being expressed. They felt like they were being ignored. That you know, some of you guys felt that your feelings were being disregarded, that you weren't being listened to, and that for some people, it's a cathartic process to come and see the play. Actually affirmed their experiences. So I felt really validated in doing it just because we actually got the masters, let alone you know, the fact that it might have possibly led to other people getting to know about it and raising the profile of it, and might have led to the ITV hurrying up to doing it, you know.
Possibly, you never know.
Because
it was a really good project to have done. The fact that we didn't make any money out of it was actually inconsequential. The fact that we raised the profile of the case, in our opinion, and expressed what other people felt they couldn't express or wasn't being listened to. Really validating.
I mean, I'd heard the exact same from the people that have been. They said it was just amazing if you knew about it, but it was just a hard time because nobody was interested when you were. You know, you probably had the Subpostmasters and a few little audience, but you didn't have the mass audience you've got now. I mean, this is your prime time to sort of get in there and get something.
I think
get something set up.
I mean, no, I always knew if there was a TV drama about it and it was done right.
I
always knew the public would react this way because we saw a minutiae of that reaction with the people that came to see the play. I spoke to so many people after the show that was so angry, you know, most of whom knew nothing about it and came along to support their friends who were in it or just local patrons of whichever theatre we were on at the time. And I made sure I spoke to as many of them as possible. I could see from that minutiae reaction that was going to happen on a larger scale if the story got the platform that it got. And you know, and I had reached out to some people way before this about taking it on as a drama. I think around the time that one of the cases was thrown. Wasn't there a big case that was thrown out in 2015? Something happened in 2015. I forget what now. But that was the first time I thought, well, you know, maybe this should be a TV show. I'm glad it is. I think it should have been 6 episodes personally, because you could have covered a lot.
You know, I've heard that,
a lot more.
That it was ended as it was ended, and there was a lot of things that were missed out in the thing, which are sort of in the inquiry now. And I've heard that, you know, it will end, the series will end when Mr. Bates ends, and there's a hell of a lot more to tell yet, not just people's stories, but, you know, you've got the inquiry that's coming up. I mean, that could be a 4-parter on its own. Well, you know, it's coming up. You've got what happens at the end. Are people going to get convicted? Are there going to be private prosecutions? So I think by the end of the year, there'll be other things in the line.
Yeah.
Things that we're able to bring into the play
Still nearly.
And if you look at it, they were over a year apart from the first, the fourth run, and it came out that they were racially profiling people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Play. So that the day that was on the front paper, we'd already been incorporating that into the play for 2 days. So
That's right. Yeah.
medium, the theatrical medium, that is instantaneous, and that we can tell a story immediately. And you know, if we're doing a run and there's something that comes up in the inquiry, we can put it in the play the next day.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you just have to add it in. Yeah.
Can I ask actually, because Nicola, I think you came to Birmingham.
I came to both,
and then you came to London at Ealing, but that was both in 2022.
Yeah.
So you didn't see the 23 production when we added in that information, and we also made some other cuts and things, of course, as you do. What was the reaction like among your group when that racial profiling information came out? Was it a surprise, or did people think that kind of thing was going on, or what?
It was a surprise. We should never be shocked, but you always seem to be. You know, it's one of those that you think, God, how vile can you people get? You know, it was one of those.
Well, I'm sure there's more vileness to come. Judging.
Yeah, I think there will be. Yeah.
It was vile, and you just think they've always treated people in just a vile way, haven't they? Why should we be shocked? You know, whether it be race or whatever, they totally disregard any human being, so far as I'm concerned. You know, so I think we shouldn't be shocked, because they really don't give a damn. As long as they're covering their own arses and being multimillionaires, they really are a piece of work, and they're above any law. And if you give somebody that much power, you're always going to be stepping on dangerous territory, aren't you?
Yeah.
I do wonder how many secret Zoom meetings have taken place between different parties, and when you know, to eavesdrop on those, eh? Sorry, Mark.
I don't think we'll ever get invited, Lance.
No, probably not. Mark, you wanted to say something?
I said I wasn't surprised about the racial.
We weren't surprised.
I said to the our lawyers, How and Go, at the very beginning, I said that if you look at the prosecution, I think most of the people who were prosecuted had like Indian, Pakistan backgrounds. Well, the people who were let off, you can say, if that's the right word to use, had like my skin, white skin, male,
Caucasian.
Caucasian. Whereas if you're a female, you're more likely to be prosecuted.
Right.
That's what
I wonder if somebody had said, Mark, in the when I was at the inquiry that day, that we're going to look at the rates of the length of the sentence for those that were of Asian, Indian, as opposed to those that were white Caucasian, because there was apparently a massive. If one got 6 months for one thing, if you were Asian or black or Indian or whatever, you've got more of a sentence. I just remember talking to somebody when I was at the inquiry, and they said, we're going to look into that. That would be interesting.
Well, there was that thing that came out with the guy giving evidence who worked on the helpline, and he was an Asian guy, and he sort of came forward, I think, almost to kind of try and exonerate his own behaviour, which didn't work, and came out with, we've got another Patel here, and that became this language, shocking. But it was also, he said, it was a constant culture of disbelief. They weren't there to help them at all. They were there to disprove and fob off. Should have been called the fob off line.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I've just had today. I was talking to my wife today, and there's a tiny little group we have on Facebook, which is something to do with computer horizons system problems and whatever. We don't have many members, and there's not much activity. And then all of a sudden, this one I thought was a woman come forward that worked for third tier support. that said, you know, she's seen all this and she's seen the whistleblower thing on the program. She wants anonymity, but she's said that they could get into the system. She said she doesn't know how much it meant, but when she said, and it wasn't. So if something went to tier 2 and they couldn't deal with it, and it went to tier 3, and it was more complicated, she said sometimes the sub-postmasters just couldn't get it. What do you mean by pressing F1 twice? And what do you mean by? So she'd say, well, hang on. While you're there, I'll go in and I'll do it for you. And she used to do the, you know, for them while they were there, obviously, which is slightly different than overnight. But still, you know, that's remote access again, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's tier 3 Fujitsu support.
Yeah.
Can also access the system. Right, I think we need to put that in.
Yeah, so what's actually...
It was the post office.
For the post office helpline, yeah, for the Fujitsu helpline. So what we put in touch with Neil Hudsell, and I think that he's dealing with it now,
right?
Just to see, you know, what, if anything, he can do, really, trying to get her to come forward, I guess. You know, that again, that's big news, isn't it? You know, the more people see the program, the more, you know, she just probably thought she was doing a job on a helpline, and then she's seen the program and thought, oh my God, you know, I was doing this.
Well, one of the Outcasts Creative worked on the helpline.
Right.
Right. One of our members worked on the helpline. That was another inside source for us, and they found the job so stressful.
Yeah.
They left. I think they were only there for about 3 months.
So the people are adamant there's a crib sheet. There was a crib sheet, and yet nobody in the inquiry can find this crib sheet of, you know, that there must have been.
Oh, she said there was a script. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the first thing we asked her was, have you still got it? Have you still got it?
Yeah,
like,
no.
No. She had one. She threw it away.
No. God, that'd be amazing now, wouldn't it?
We should get her to go to the public inquiry, though, and say there was one, because we could.
Yeah.
Well, look, it's 8 minutes to 9, and I need to wrap this up at 9 o'clock, because believe it or not, I've got another live stream at 10, because I do a weekly show at 10 o'clock on every Tuesday. So I felt I really wanted to do a stream specifically about this and bring it, you know, just again add to the momentum.
So I probably missed loads, but I mean, I'm guessing therefore that there is going to be another show coming up. There is going to be another run of this.
Funny enough, we've barely talked about the play, to be honest. Right. I'm not very good at promoting myself in that context. Look, we want to put it on again. Absolutely no question about it. But we want to at least have some money to be able to say to the actors and the production team, you will get X. Here's X for you to live on during this week's rehearsal and this week's
like a crowdfunding thing. Fund me.
Well, we could do that. I'm not very comfortable with that concept where this is concerned. It feels like you know.
It's a hard one. I think so. For what I know, you need to wrap up, but for whatever reason, I just got overwhelmed on X, Twitter. I'm not a Twitter fan, but for some reason, my views are getting 500,000 millions. I'm just up there. So, you know, if you need promoting, just put something on there. You know, go
basically, Tony, you should be in charge of our crowdfunding campaign. Is that what you're?
No, that was absolutely not a volunteering.
You heard it here first. Tony's up for it.
No, I mean, something like that. I do think people are, you know, at the moment, they're all saying, what can we give? Where do we donate? You know, and all we can point to is Nick's fund, which is brilliant. But yeah, I reckon now's a good time to go for it. You know, people are wanting to get their hands in the pockets and put something towards it.
Well, we did
find out what's going to happen regarding Fujitsu's future as well, because they're making and they keep getting hired. They're doing the national rollout of the police.
Well, they've been called to the committee next week.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Lance, can I just make 3 things about the play, which I think puts it above the Bates? First of all, I think, because I saw it in the OSO Plus in Ealing,
Yeah.
I think the Paula Vennells questions and answers sums it up completely, and I preferred the Maggie. I think it was Maggie in Ealing.
Maggie Robson.
Yeah, I preferred her because when you did it at the OSO, you started introducing all this whips and all this sort of stuff, and I think that was personally a little bit over the top. But the one that played the cricketer, right? I think him wearing the stumps, the pads, right, got across more about him than the bus hitting him on the play, because that was and the other thing that the third thing that the play got across was the helpline, because the three of them up there, and the way that they couldn't give a toss and all this, actually highlighted something that the screen, Bates versus the Post Office hasn't done. And there's other little things in there which you don't get across on the telly. And there was also some of the things, it was like a superstitious shudder went down your spine. Because the actors were able to capture the real life things of people. I'm not saying that Bates did. It did.
Well, it's a different energy in theatre, Hugh, and it's very
stage, isn't it?
It's very immediate. It's very immediate.
You encapsulated more than just 4 Subpostmasters.
Yeah.
Because some of the Subpostmasters, well, Mr. Smith or Mrs. Smith, and also when they all came in on the capes, I'll end on this. When you all came into the capes, to me that had a bigger impact than it was good. All the cars turning up but the capes and all that highlighted it. And also with Mr. Bates, when he was supposed to be watching his videos and the wrong ones in the when his missus goes.
He's not called Mr. Bates. He's not called Mr. Bates in our play. He's called Postmaster 5.
Yeah, Postmaster. But that sort of thing. That sort of thing highlighted the issues. So, I know it's different audiences, but some of the things that you brought.
We appear to have lost Hugh, but okay. Well, look, those points very well made, Hugh. Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate your kindness. There's a picture of Maggie Robson, who played Paula Vennells in our show, and she's one of the best actresses I've ever worked with, and also just an extremely lovely person as well. I want to thank Tony, who's clearly on his way to the fish and chip shop right now, so he's about to leave. But we'll wrap it up there, guys. Dickon and I have got some conversations to have about how we take the show forward. I've written to a few people today, and if we can get it on again, we will. We absolutely will. Brilliant. But the main thing is that you guys have got momentum now, and I think you need to keep it. Look, you know how quickly news changes in this country. Today's headline is tomorrow's fish and chip papers, as they say, and that happens really fast. So you've got to jump on this momentum and this public support, and anything we can do to aid that. And that's why I wanted to do this stream, because it's all part of it.
Yeah, a little bit, isn't it? Yeah, definitely.
But thank you so much for coming on, because if it had just been me here or me and Dickon talking, we've got 3 victims of the scandal right here. It makes it a lot more real for people when they can actually see you.
Brilliant.
Richard Madeley wasn't available to co-host with me tonight, but I'll try and get him on another time. Anyone got any final thoughts? I think Mark's got something he wants to say.
It's not a final thought as such, but you said you want funds. You might want to contact the Welsh government.
Right.
I'll send you a message offline. The reporter to me yesterday told me Mark Bradford said something in in the Senate
All right.
about the masters in Wales.
Well, I feel with Tony running our crowdfunding campaign and you, Mark, doing our Welsh funding
I'm just going
application
to like sneak down here now.
to the Arts Council, we cannot
Yeah, we got a
fail.
holiday in Wales coming up then.
Are you lot not going off to Necker Island with Alan to Richard
We haven't been
Branson?
invited, Lance. I don't know why.
That made me laugh because I used to work for Branson, and I'm like, hey, I wrote the play, by the way, and I used to work for you, so
yeah, I needed a holiday.
bloody well do as well. But I don't want to go to Necker Island, thank you. Well, look, thanks guys for giving up your time on this Tuesday evening. It's 9 o'clock.
Sorry, I was a bit late into it. I only
not at all.
literally got the message.
I'll leave the final word to Kenny, who is auditor, one of the auditors in the play. I played the other one. Fujitsu have been awarded more contracts across the government, so not just the police, but others. I found out today for different government departments. So you've got to wonder about the backhanders going on there. We'll leave that there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks everybody for watching the channel. If you're new to it and watching for the first time, please do subscribe. Check out my industry interviews. There's interviews with people that work in film and television, as well as the stage. I'm sure you'll find some of them quite interesting. There'll be some people there that you recognize, actors and such like. And there's also loads of other content, including my niche gaming streams, which are probably not as interesting. But you can also have a look at them if you like.
We might look at them.
At 10 o'clock tonight, I'm going to be back. So I'm going to be back on in an hour's time with the Nielsen ratings, where, among other things, we will be talking about Bates versus Post Office again, as well as all the other television and film stuff that we've been watching this week. And I've got 3 guests coming on with me. So I better go and rest my voice for an hour.
Right. Thanks so much.
Dickon needs to go to sleep. So thanks very much, guys.
Yeah.
We will see
Take
you
care.
all again real soon.
See you later.
Bye.